it is always a concept. So make sure you know the cost function, the simple linear regression equation, which is the y equal to a plus bx. That is the simple linear regression equation. So if I can maybe borrow from what we did last time, following on that linear regression equation, which is just basically y equal to a plus bx. And like I also mentioned to you last time, that you need just to know the variables. Is someone speaking? I've heard some voice. Is someone saying something? Is someone saying something? All right. So I think maybe. Okay. So I was mentioning that what we said last time, do not worry about a lot of questions that you might have not seen. Do not worry about that. I normally insist on the concept. Once you have the concept at your fingertips, no matter the question, you'll always be good. So we were talking about the linear regression equation, which we tackled last time, and you just basically know the variables that you're dealing with. Which one represent dependent variables and which one are independent variables, and where you are given more than one independent variable, where now you have, I wrote that equation here, the cost equation where we have more than one independent variable, where we have y equal to a plus bx1 plus cx2. So those are two independent variables. So where you have those two independent variables and you're required to run a regression equation, yeah? You're needed to run the regression analysis. You need to know when you have your output like we did last time, you will get the independent variables output here, where you have the x1 and the x2. Then the y-intercept, which is denoted by A, will always remain constant there. So once you understand what you are looking at, once you understand this output window, you know where you pinpoint your R squared, your home and dry. And also, you know how to play around with the confidence levels. Like I mentioned to you, and you've already known, the confidence level by default is normally 95%, both lower and upper. So that normally represents the worst case and best case scenarios. So once you know how to play around with that, and whenever you are running the regression analysis, when you include the title, like in our case, we renamed the date to be X1, we renamed this to be X2, that is to represent the other variable. Then we also renamed, I think this was price, to be Y. Once you are running your regression analysis and you include the title, make sure there is that window where you mark that you also include labels on that pop-up window before you run the regression analysis. That is important because you are telling Excel that in my range of the data that you need to analyze and give me an output, there is a title included, right? So that it will be able to give you the correct output. And that's why in your output, you have this named, you have the analysis, you have X1 given there, the X2, the variables, and also you have the intercept. That is important when you're running it. So when you play around with the cost function, another thing, make sure you know how to interpret the results. It's not about running the regression analysis. You'll have it, yes. It will be here. You'll have everything, regression analysis from ANOVA and all that. Once you have them, are you able to interpret? Do you understand what those output mean? The AY intercept, the independent variable one, and the next one, and the confidence levels. You know what they mean. That is one important thing, so that the examiner also is able, because normally they will never bring you a regression analysis question without asking for the interpretation. Remember that. So when I shared this working last time, I made sure that I wrote those interpretation part so that you be able to align yourself and know how to give those interpretations. So remember that and always have it at your fingertips in case you meet such a question in an exam. Now, guys, tell me, I know you also did some of those past paper questions in class. I don't know if you did something to do with December 2023, question number 23. Confirm to me if you've already covered that so that we can do something else. Even though I can see the same concept that we already did is what is repeated in December 2023. So we may decide to skip it because I'm not seeing something that should be able to challenge you. Did you do this one? Did you try it out even on your own, leave alone the session you had with the other teacher? Did you already have a glimpse on this? December 2023, question number 23, confirm to me. Confirm to me, guys. Confirm to me, guys. Confirm to me, guys. Great. Juma is saying you looked at it, which is very good, So you'll realize that even for those who've not checked on it, like Betty, you realize that it is the same analysis you're doing because what you are required to do is just to identify the variables. And let me see somebody else. Daniel also did it. So if you look at the variables given there, they're very simple. And you're just asked to generate regression output from MS Excel. And, whenever you are asked to generate regression output, and again, you see you have regression statistics, ANOVA, and the intercept, intercept and the slope. So this one just tells you see part A, the whole of part A. Once you run that regression analysis, you'll always have your output and you'll score all these marks. That is so easy. So regression is always the easiest. In fact, when they made AMA compulsory, this regression analysis was one of the easiest compulsories that they've brought on board. So you should be able to score full marks in management accounting in case they bring regression or BEP analysis. So part B was about playing around with the confidence level. And for those who've not attempted it, go through it and make sure you can see they're asking you to include the confidence level at 95. So even if you do not change it, but the default output will always have 95% upper and lower confidence levels. So that is also so easy. I mean, that one, there is nothing that should challenge anyone. Then now using a chart to represent the information which is in B above, where you are having quantity, actual cost, and predicted cost. So you just need to know, what are we doing? What is regression? Regression is about cost estimation. When you estimate your costs by running that regression analysis and you have your output where you have your intercept and the variables given there, you are able to come up with your new cost function. And the cost function follows the linear regression equation, y equal to a plus bx. So in your output, like the same case we did last time, you have the a, then you have the variables x1 and x2, and the slope you also have. So you can be able to come up with the linear regression equation like we did here. You can see the equation is there. So from here, this one now gives you the estimated cost. So you just need to make sure you follow what the examiner wants so that you come up with this data of quantity on the left side. Then you have just a table. Then you have actual cost. Actual cost is what you are given in the question. You see this production cost. Those are the actual figures. Quantity is also you are given. Then you come up with the predicted cost. So predicted cost is now what you get from the output. You see, if you run a regression analysis of this, the output that you'll get will appear like this, though figures will be different because of the data that you're running on. Then when you come up with the predicted costs, predicted costs, now you predict a cost based on the base figures under the coefficient column. Then you also do the same for the lower 95 and upper 95 confidence levels. You come up with different cost estimations using the same function. And when you do that, you'll be able to run this graph, which the examiner wants you to do in part C, and you score the 20 marks. You see how easy it is to score 20 marks? now you have no reason to fail this BDA paper coming in. Is it 2.5 weeks time?